Decoded.
Welcome to a special Book Decoded episode. You know, we often hear that belonging is everything, right? That connection is the goal. But what if that feeling, that maybe sometimes unsettling feeling of being an eternal outsider, even with people you like, what if that's not actually a problem to fix? What if it's a strength? Today we're doing a deep dive into Dr. Rami Kaminski's really interesting book, The Gift of Not Belonging. And it introduces this fascinating new idea, the Otrovert.
Yeah, Otrovert. It literally means one who is facing a different direction. And it's described as this deep, innate personality trait, this non-belonging. So these individuals are kind of eternal outsiders in our very communal world. But here's the key thing. It's without the usual distress you might see with, say, social anxiety or avoidant personality. It's not a choice they make. It's presented as a core orientation, just how they're wired, basically.
Okay, that's a really powerful distinction because, you know, my first thought goes to things like shyness, maybe introversion, or even some neurodivergent traits. How does Dr. Kaminski draw the line? How does he make it clear this is something, well, fundamentally different, a separate cognitive thing?
That's a super important point because, yeah, it's easy to get them mixed up. So unlike shyness, which is often about fearing judgment, right? Or social anxiety, which is more clinical, causing real distress, Otroverts don't necessarily fear social stuff. They can actually be quite empathetic, friendly, good with people. Their non-belonging isn't about missing social cues or struggling to read the room. It's internal. It's this built-in sense of separateness. They might even be popular, but they just don't feel part of the group. They often feel most alone in a crowd. The author talks about being a popular loner himself as a kid. Like there was always this sort of invisible wall between him and the group dynamic. He much preferred intense one-on-one talks.
Right, the invisible wall. I get that. And this is where the book kind of flips the script, isn't it? It doesn't just define it. It really champions this non-belonging. This is not a burden. It's a gift. So what are some of these upsides, these virtues?
Well, for anyone listening who feels this resonates, just understanding it can be incredibly freeing. Think about it. If you're not constantly, maybe even subconsciously, seeking group approval, that naturally allows for more independent thought. Original thinking, genuinely outside the hive, as the book says. Like, imagine a work meeting. Others might drift towards consensus, you know, but the Otrovert might be the one spotting the flaw nobody else sees or suggesting something completely different precisely because they're not filtering through that will they like this lens. They're thinking from the ground up.
Okay, so it's this independent thinking. And you mentioned empathy earlier. The book talks about a specific kind, right? Bespoke empathy.
Yeah.
How does that make their connections different? Maybe more.
Exactly, bespoke. It's a great term. So while lots of us empathize by sort of mapping someone else's situation onto our own experiences, the Otrovert, according to the book, makes a real effort to imagine your circumstances from your point of view without layering their own stuff onto it. And this can lead to really personalized insight and support. The other person feels truly seen, you know, in a way that maybe more generalized empathy might miss. It's a very deliberate, deep kind of connection. There's a great quote from one of the author's patients, teenager A. She said, "You have FOMO when you fear missing out, but if you know you are not missing out, there is no fear." That really captures that unburdened way they connect.
That's a fantastic quote. Really nails it. But I'm wondering, does the book also touch on the difficulties, and even with self-acceptance, navigating a world that really values joining in? It can't always be smooth sailing, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's a fair point. The book isn't painting some perfect picture. While the Otrovert might be free from the internal pressure to belong, they still live in a world that, well, expects it and often rewards it. So yeah, challenges can come from outside, misunderstandings, maybe pressure to be more of a joiner. What the book emphasizes is the path forward, embracing that authentic self. That means building a rich inner life, maybe through creative work, deep thinking, things you do alone. Setting really clear boundaries is crucial too, to protect their energy, their time, and making conscious choices about work, relationships that actually fit their way of being, not trying to squeeze into a mold made for someone else. It's about building a life that works for them.
Wow. So this deep dive into the gift of not belonging really suggests that living maybe off the communal grid isn't some kind of failing. It can actually be a path to real fulfillment, to owning yourself.
Exactly. It really underscores that idea. I think the book puts it beautifully. There is nothing more freeing than to realize that since you cannot be anything other than yourself, it makes very good sense to like and value that person. Just understanding this Otrovert perspective, whether it describes you or someone you know, it can help all of us, I think. Help us think a bit more independently, connect maybe more authentically, and just navigate this joiner's world with a bit more self-acceptance. It definitely makes you think, doesn't it? What does belonging truly mean for you? Where do your real connections lie?